Hi and welcome. My name is Marlene with Angels Among Us, and this is a continuation of the story of my spiritual awakening. Although I have jumped around a little bit, this has been a long process. Just trying to kind of go over things in categories that I remember. Um, One piece of advice, I wish I'd kind of said this early on, but I guess you don't even know what you're going through until at some point when you start to go, oh, oh. And so I wish I had, you know, journaled this stuff. But once I started really knowing, I still wish that I had. I write a lot of stuff down, but I'm still kind of all over the board with like how I write stuff down. It's more about learning and connections again. But anyway, it's just a suggestion I have. If you are going through one, if you can start kind of writing some of the things down that happen, might kind of help you, even if not now, down the road to put this all together for yourself. Uh, so we were, I guess I was talking about the story. I talked a bit about my neighbors. I've talked about work. I've talked about how I could see through. I realized I was kind of seeing through my eyes or dealing with these lights. It was just a whole different situation. I talked about being at my sister's a bit, but one of the things I wanted to mention, and this was a real eye opener in this process, is that okay, so what happened is I had gone to stay at my sister's. And this is kind of over a period of 2 weeks. This is like a second time. Originally, I lived with her for 9 months, and I got my own place, and I was here for quite some time. And then I had all these crazy experiences, more, but at home, with this happened to be like lights and all these crazy things. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But I wanted to stay with my sister for a little bit. So 2 weeks on and off, I was at her place. One of the things that happened that it's again still so odd, but this is the story as it goes. And I can't make this stuff up, let me tell you. So I was waitressing. I go to their house to stay. And the first thing that I notice is the street is pitch black. Okay. Okay. So I pull in a driveway, and in the rear view mirror, the neighbor's motion light goes on. Okay. And I see somebody. First of all, the street being pitch black was eerie enough. But then the motion light goes on, and I see somebody basically stop in their tracks. Now, if it was the homeowner and they turn their motion light on, they're just going to keep doing their thing, right? But when they stopped in their tracks, I was like, something is really eerie here. I don't know what it is, but it is really pitch black out here, and it's not like that. And why did that person totally stop when I came? And so I decided, I was kind of late. Now, my sister and her husband went to bed fairly early. So, well, I don't want to call. I kind of want to figure out what's going on. So I decided to drive down the block, and I go to the gas station. And a couple of odd things is that when I get there, some guy pulls up, and he's man, he gave me this evil look. And I was like, geez, what was that about? In fact, so evil that I was actually scared to get out of the car. I'm like going, And then, so then I was just sitting there trying to figure out what to do. But then another guy, that guy went in. He went in the store for a while. It actually seemed like he kind of caused a ruckus, and then he came out, and then he left. But again, gave me this eye, and I was like, geez, I don't even know what to do. So then I was sitting there for a minute, and it wasn't even long, and this big truck comes pulling in, takes two car things, pulls in at a angle to take two full car slots, parking spaces. And he gets out and he looks at me like, geez, like, he is like pissed at me. And I'm thinking, I don't know this guy from Adam. He's got long hair and he has a jacket on, like a 3/4 length jacket. And he's got his arm held down and he's holding something down in it. And now he gave me this look and I was like, what is going on? And he kind of like started to open his jacket up. And again, I was like, I don't even know. I am so scared. I am just leaving. So then I ended up deciding that I'm going to go talk to the police and say, hey, I want you guys to go over to my sister's house because something doesn't seem right. So I go over to the police department, which is right by there. Now the parking lot, it's two sides. One side of it is a city hall and one side of it is a police department. Well, on the city hall side, there was a police officer sitting there. Now again, this parking lot is pitch black. There's a police officer sitting right in front of the two doors in a police car with blacked out windows. Now that was just the oddest thing. And but the lights were on the police car, like the yellow lights. And so I went over there and I thought, why does that police car have blacked out windows? It was a normal police car. And somehow my lights, the way that I got my lights through, I could actually see that there was someone sitting there. It wasn't like 100% blackout, but and it was just so odd that they were sitting in the pitch black with their light on. They saw me come, but they didn't even make an effort to try to drive over or talk to me or anything. And I thought, okay, this is really odd. But that was on the front part of City Hall. So then I went to the back part where the police station was. Now, the first thing I noticed is that at the main part where people would walk up to the police station, nobody was even at the desk. Okay, that's the one thing. And nobody came for a long time because I was watching it. At first, I was kind of like in the street, and nobody came to it for a long time. Then I went to the back where the police station was, and I parked on I started to go in there, and I realized there was a sign that said, for police cars only. So I'm like, okay. But I was literally so scared. And by the way, while I was sitting in the street, those two guys drove by. So now I'm really scared. So I'm parking. I can't park in the back where it says for police cars only. So I'm literally parking between the street and the for police cars only, like the drive-through, right in between the parking lot and the street. And then a cop came and went and parked. Again, they could see that I probably wanted help, but they didn't come to me, didn't even make an effort. And I thought, okay, something is really, really off here. I don't know what's going on. So I thought, no, I need to be somewhere where it's really well lit. So then I drove around and I found like a grocery store that was 24 hours open, really well lit parking lot and everything. As I started I'm like, I just need to kind of get a grip on this and talk to somebody about what is going on outside. I go in, but as I'm going in, I'm parking my car, these two cars are going back again. But now what happened is these two guys switched vehicles. And when I went to go into that store, one of them almost tried to run me down. And I was so terrified by the time I got in that grocery store, I was shaking. Then I realized that the guys came in there. And I'm like, what is going on? What do they want from me? Why is something going on at my sister's? I was really worried about that because they were apparently mad at me and maybe they thought I saw something that I didn't know, and I was just beyond myself. I think I was in that grocery store asking people like I don't know. I was basically just asking to talk to people. Did anybody know anything that was going on? And like trying to explain a couple things. I was terrified. Anyway, finally, the people at the grocery store called the police. The police came. I said, no, but I want to talk to them while you're in here. I said, I'm not going to talk to them. They came in, and then they followed me to my sister's. They called my sister's house, got her up. Everything was okay over there. But it was just also very, 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 very odd. And then I told her about the whole situation, and she kind of like didn't know what to make of it, but could tell that I was actually really scared. And so there again, moved on from that situation. But it seemed really, really fake to me that when the police came, they brought me to my sister's. That's all. The only way that I can explain it is that it just seemed kind of fake. And so what I realized, I remember feeling in that moment, there are no police. Like, that's why I can drive down the road and, like, there's no cops around. I noticed that for a long time. There's no police officers around, or once in a blue moon I'd see one, but not like it used to be, So then that's why, through all this stuff, like, I never called the police. Because I'm like, there are no police. Something's going on with that. I don't even know. It's bigger than me. I'm just going to try to live my life and do my thing and figure this out and keep my head low or whatever. I don't know. Exist. Anyway, so that's kind of where I was. So that's what happened with the police station. One other thing that I want to mention before this video ends, in all this time, I never had YouTube on my phone. And somehow, because I would always have crazy things that were happening with my phone, YouTube was downloaded on my phone. Again, no surprise because of all this weird stuff. And I was getting sent all these videos. I didn't subscribe to videos. I didn't know where they were. I didn't know who was doing this. I didn't watch them. Finally, one day, after like 70 some videos, I finally decided I'm just going to look at one of these. And so somebody had sent me a video on what is called the embryonic pentameter, which is a way that William Shakespeare used to write, which was in a strict 6-syllable format. And if you hit or read like on every other syllable, there was like a different message in it. Well, then pretty soon these messages started coming. Like, I started figuring this out. That was exhausting. But some of the messages were really dark, and I couldn't figure out why or who would do this or what does it mean. But the bottom line is it taught me to read or see things in a different way as far as words. That there are actually messages in words. And so I didn't take that entire thing to heart because I was so tired and I was trying to read things this way and it was exhausting. You're driving down the highway and you're like, oh my gosh, there's something else said. Well, I finally started realizing there's actually a different way to see these messages. And so it didn't have to be dark. I think it's kind of what you, I don't know if it's choose to see, but what are you seeing? Okay. I think it reminds me of this thing that it's like blacked out, and I can't remember. In one way you look at it, you can see Jesus, and another way you can look at it, you can see something else. But it's kind of like that. Do you see Jesus or do you see something else? And we've all seen pictures like that. Do you see an old lady or do you see a young boy? What do you see? So that was kind of the opening door for me on words and seeing things in words and messages in words. Okay, so that's about that. And I would say this is part 4D. So again, my name is Marlene. I'm with Angels Among Us. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. We're getting to a closer point of starting to wrap this story up, but giving you some insight about some of the things that can be confusing, scary, and isolating about a spiritual awakening, and showing you that there is a reason that all of this happens, but we'll get to that too. Thank you so much, and hope you'll subscribe and stay with me, and maybe I can help you through your journey as well. Thanks.